Nancy, and I'm back. Give you a little update on Use or Lose. So I might have to pause because once again, for the third time in a year, our sewer has backed up. So somebody is coming. Somebody came last night, somebody came in the afternoon. They came back last night. They're coming back this morning. I might be in a hotel room this weekend. I can only hope. Anyway, I showed you these little book page folders that I did yesterday. I showed them yesterday. But I made some tags out of that sheet of Graphics 45 paper that I said I had to use or lose. So I just backed them with some vintage ledger page, and I added a little eyelet and some thread, and I added a little piece of metal, and in the inside I put one of those Graphics 45 images and a couple more tags. So there's that one. This one, I have a little acrylic 4-drawer thing at my right hand that I just tuck little pieces of this and that in. I call it desk ephemera. I got that term from Shabby Dabby Doodah. Anyway, I had this piece of desk ephemera, so I glued that on there and added a little word snippet. It says learn. And so there's that one. This one, I added this little piece of a broken necklace with a paper clip. And the other cards, this one was the cover of a 6x6 paper pad. So I just cut it in half, glued the front to the back, and then added a little bow. It needs something else, but it's there to be looked at right now. The other ones, I added ledger page to the other ones to be used as journaling cards in other projects. These I finished. Where was the one I was doing yesterday? These I've sewed all around them. Oh, here. This is the one I did yesterday. So I added a little piece of a handkerchief. This label was from a handkerchief, and that lace was cut off the same handkerchief, and stitched all around it, roughed up the fabric at the edge, and added this little bird. So there's those done. These tags I finished by sewing around them and inking them. I think this is my favorite one. I don't know why, but it just says something to me. This is the Paula Deen tag. So I just added a little snippet of crochet lace, tied a little bow, and added one of these teeny tiny little Tim Holtz people, and added on the back a little bit of vintage ledger. This was the one from the knapsack. So again, I added this tassel, and this was a button, and I just popped out the edge and then put a little circle of book page inside it. Layered on some fabric and some stamps, and then added a couple pages of ledger in there, a couple little scraps of ledger. And this was the clothing tag. So I just did some collage and ledger. Oh, I didn't go through there. I need I thought it was done. Goodness gracious. Yeah, why not? We'll use yellow. No, we won't. We're going to use gold. this all set up. Now we need something to tie there. Oh, I've got some a little piece of ribbon here. Well, it's not ribbon, it's seam binding, but for all intents and purposes. Okay, let's try this one more time with feeling. Make the bunny ear. What am I doing wrong? Weather outside is miserable. Just snowing to beat the band. Just sticking a pencil in there to sort of round that out a bit. Rats. This is not working. Is this piece longer? Probably not. We'll just do it the other way. Make a loop. So, yesterday, while I was listening to the obnoxious noises that were happening in my basement while the plumber was here, I hid in my bedroom with the cat. Oh, that poor cat. And I glued all of my buttons, my button cards to not cardstock, but some heavy page from an old photo album. And I have a lot more button cards than I thought. Let me just grab those. So these are 14 by just over 11. So some of them I kept the buttons on, but I wanted to just kind of firm them up a bit with some paper. I only used the oldish ones, you know, the ones that were, oh, and these long ones, I have an idea for these long ones, so I use those as well. The rest I threw out. It was use or lose, and I losed. I love this one. It's embossed with silver. Love it. So this will be a project for this weekend. Look at this old card. It says fine ivory. Had black buttons on it, so it certainly wasn't ivory, but... And I love this sort of parallelogram shaped one. So that'll be this weekend's sitting in front of the TV project, cutting all those apart. And this morning I found these buckles. Actually, it was like a sandwich bag full of buckles, and I threw half of them out. This one, I think I'm going to try to cover it with fabric because I was able to get it apart. And that might be fun on the front with like ribbon Like I have some wide sort of semi-transparent white ribbon that might look nice as a closure. This little buckle looks really good on a piece of seam binding. There's a couple of weird pieces. There's some really cute little buckles that, again, they can be strung on some ribbon or something. I like this as a frame. Like the paint is chipping off of it, so you can see there's some gold underneath. So again, I'm going to ask Doug if he can cut this part off and see if I can flatten it out a bit. This, I don't know what this is. It's got a little jump ring on it, but it also has this little enameled image on the front of it. So I can see using that as a charm, but it's definitely antique. And the other thing that, well, everything's antique in here. This is some kind of a clip, and it's got a beautifully etched heart there. And if you if you clip that little thing down, it presses. So I don't know whether this was to hold a watch or I'm not sure, but it's kind of neat, isn't it? Makes me wonder if this is maybe gold. I don't know. This one, I was kind of on the fence about throwing this one out. It might still get thrown out. Anyway, so that's, oh, this one says patented January 12th, 1904. I don't know if I can use this, but I'll hang on to it just for a little bit longer. So these things are in a little box here on my desk so that they can be used. All right, let me clear off the desk. Okay, I'm back. So another thing that I found in my tidying is some strips of fabric. Actually, I had 5 strips of yellow calico, and I was chatting with Catherine from Sunnyside Journals this morning. I said, look at these, they were maybe 4 inches long, whatever, an inch wide maybe. I said, I got to make something out of these because they're too cute to throw out. So this is what I made. And this was inspired by something I saw on Pinterest. And the person who made this, if you can hear that noise, it's the plumbers. Oh my gosh. Her name's Amy, and this was an image that she put on her blog like 9 years ago. So I'll give you a link. Anyway, this was leftover linen from a project I did recently, book cover I did recently, and just little bits of things that I had in my stash here. So I've got some bits of pink. I need to throw them out. I do need to throw them out, but I need to use them up too. So I thought I would show you how to do this. So first of all, I'm going to take some book page, and I want one page that has some, there's lots of blank on there. If I can get it to rip out. Okay. So I'm going to make some tags out of book page. So I'm just gonna glue 2 pages. Depending on what you use, you might need 3, but this is pretty. Oh boy, they're getting really noisy down there. This is pretty thick paper. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is a template of a heart shape. So I just took a piece of book page, folded it, cut around, and that's my template. Now I'm just going to draw it on this book page. And then holding it up to the light, on the other side I'm going to draw another heart in the exact same spot. Now I have this camera pulled right in, so you won't, maybe aren't going to be able to see how I did that, but I can hear them talking down there, saying something about 9.5 meters or something. I'm not going to cut it out, I'm just going to cut a piece off. Okay, so again, using glue stick, I'm just going to take some bits and pieces here. And I'm just going to glue it, and as long as it's covering, like I can put this here and it's covering both sides. Now the next piece, I'm just making sure we're still in filming in the right range here. I'm going to take another piece, and this time I'm going to just, there it is, butt up against it, and then just take in another thread or two, like a millimeter hanging over. Okay. I think I want this one a little thinner. So there it is, butt up against it, and then just a millimeter over. And that'll work. And then just a millimeter. Okay. Now I'm using my Elmer's glue because I don't particularly want it to be a really good sticking glue, and that the reason why will become apparent shortly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew on my machine just next to the edge, both sides of each fabric. I don't have to do the top or the bottom because that's going to be cut away. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause while I do that. Okay, so you can see the lines of stitching at the edge of each piece of fabric. Now I'm going to just take my knife. I mean, you could really use any pokey tool, a bone folder, anything. And I'm just going to run it across this edge just to sort of rough up that fabric. See, it took a thin thread off there. And then I'll push this one up and then sort of lift up the one underneath it. And that's why I didn't much care that I was using the Elmer's glue, which is not great for gluing, in my humble opinion. And then rough that up. You don't have to rough it up if you're not a fan of that sort of look. But I thought it was a nice touch. So it looks like we're gonna have plumbing for the weekend, which is nice. I called my son and I said, I think we're gonna have to come stay with you this weekend. He's like, no, no, no. I live in a very small apartment. But I said, but we don't have any water. I can't do the dishes. I can't shower. Like, he says, I will send you the link to some nice hotels. He's all mine. Come on. There we go. I keep pushing my blade down. Okay. Let me just trim a couple of threads off there. Okay, now turned it over, and now see where the heart is drawn? I'm going to sew right on that line, and I will pause. Okay, so I've sewn around the heart shape from the back, and now I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut right next to that stitch line. I don't want to cross over it because that'll cut the threads, but just right next to it. Got really loud a minute ago. I didn't know if I was going to be able to finish this video. I had to have somebody come over and locate the gas lines to make sure that my house didn't explode before they tried to fix the sewers. Well, I hope it's fixed this time. Okay, so I've got that cut off. It's super cute. I could leave it like that. All right, now I have this linen fabric left over from the coffee journal. The paper that was 2 pages glued together, I cut 2 tags the same size out of. Okay, so I'm going to put that one there, and with my pencil, I will draw a line. And this is the wrong side of the fabric, although with this linen-y kind of stuff, there isn't a wrong side. But if you're using a different kind of fabric that has a right and wrong side, you'll want to be putting this line on the wrong side. Okay. Now, with my ruler, I'm just going to mark a line that's 1/8 of an inch in from all of the sides. My tag, you want it so that the heart just about kisses the edge. So my tags are 3 1/4 by 5 1/4, but depending on how big your heart is, you can adjust the size of the tag accordingly. I'm going to take some embroidery thread and using 4 strands, I am going to sew a running stitch around from the wrong side, because a running stitch is going to look the same on the front and the back. So I won't make you watch me do that. I'll pause again. Okay, so you can see I stitched on from the wrong side along that 1/8 of an inch mark that we made, and that's what it looks like from the front. So the heart will go right about there. So it is going to cover a little bit of the stitching on either edge, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So now I want to write the word love down here. This time I'm going to make it bigger because I see that I've got more space I can fill out. And I might actually make it a capital L this time. And I'm just going to draw it with my pencil. Oh. Gonna have to hold the fabric with your fingers, and I'm kind of making it sloppy, primitive looking. Okay. So this time I'm only going to use 2 strands of embroidery thread, and it's sort of like a back stitch, I guess is what it's called. Okay. So I'll show you what I mean, and then I will turn off the camera again. So you put a stitch ahead, and then you put it in the same hole as the other stitch ended. Like that, to fill up that hard for me to do with it so far away from my face. And then again, whoops. Okay, so I'll pause and finish doing that. Okay, so I finished embroidering this word, and now I've got just this little tiny snippet of lace. I'm going to use my art glitter glue because sometimes the Fabri-Tac shows. All right. And now I've got some more embroidery floss, and I'm just going to do 2, or maybe more, big cross stitches. Plumber guys were arguing downstairs about why they were doing what they were doing. Okay. I'll just knot that. Okay. Now, next step. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac, and I'm going to glue this tag down to the original, within the originally penciled line. But I want to be careful with it because, especially with this linen-y type of fabric, it can bleed through. Whoop. So I'm just going to wipe it down with my fingertip so that there's no big thick blobs anywhere. And then plunk it down. That looked harder than it was. I think because of the stitching, it kind of makes the fabric go a bit askew. Okay. Oh, I'm going to trim some of this off. So about half an inch. Doesn't have to be fancy. Now I'm going to clip out some of the bulk, but not go right to the corner. Just taking out some of the bulk because I'm going to turn the edge over and glue it to the inside of the tag. Then here, again, I'm going to cut some of this bulk out. And then, again, using Fabri-Tac, I'm just going to turn the fabric over. Take your time with this because you want a nice, neat edge. So, I don't want to spend a lot of time doing this, so I will come back when I'm done gluing. That part's done. Now I'm going to take the other tag, and again using Fabri-Tac, and make sure I get right up to the edge. And then put it right on there, match up the edges best you can. Really make sure you seal down those edges. Okay. Now, I'm going to embellish this with a bit of ribbon and a button. I bet I'm gonna have to go and look. But in the meantime, I will put this eyelet in. So this is the 3/16 inch eyelet, and yep, it'll go right through the fabric. No worries there. Okay, now I'm gonna go hunt for a ribbon and a button. Okay, so I got a piece of grosgrain ribbon and a pink button. I'm just going to do some teeny tiny little running stitches here in order to gather this ribbon up together. And it's going to be covered up by the big button, so it's not, neatness doesn't count. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that ribbon down and give this a knot. I will be trimming this ribbon down, but while I'm working with it, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Put a blob of Fabri-Tac there. Now I sort of want this center offset, like out there. Okay. And put the button on, just covering that right up. And now let's stitch this button down. Where's my pokey tool? There it is. Oh, hang on, I think the plumber's calling me. All right, looks like we're going to be good for the weekend. So I'm just going to use my pokey tool to poke some holes so that I can see from the back where I want my thread. And I'm using heavy, it's called button or carpet thread. And I will do this, sew this button on in the shape of a cross. I'm going to drag some of that back out because I'm going to use it to tie it off. Because I do not want my button to be floppy. Okay. And again, using Fabri-Tac, I'm going to go right up to the edge here. And a good amount all the way around. Okay. I can trim these off. So I fold it in half. Go cut. And just to make sure that these threads don't unravel, I'm just going to add a little bit of my art glitter glue to the edge and then sort of wipe it off, and that will dry clear. Okay. I don't like the way that one's sticking up. There we go. That's better. Okay, while I was looking for ribbon, I found this trim. Isn't it beautiful? I have no idea where it came from. But again, it's a new thing. I just dug out of a box and now I have to use it. Use it or lose it. Anyway, so thanks so much for joining me to do this little project. I could make a million of these. I love them. And I'll be sure to add a link to the blog that I stole the idea from. And you take care. We'll talk to you again soon.